Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Pia and I am so happy that you're joining me here today for a little chat about some yarn and knitting. I finished my 2 cardigans and of course I cast on another cardigan because apparently I'm all about the cardigans these days. But before we get into that, I just want to mention what I'm wearing because this is a pattern that I will be releasing today. This is my granny vest. I knitted over the summer and it has now been through all the steps of editing and testing and whatnot. It will be released today. I have been using it a lot. In the beginning, just over a t-shirt or on its own. But now that it's getting a little bit colder, I can wear it the way that I always intended to wear it, with a shirt. I'm going to try to stand up so that you can get a better look at it. So it is this very simple knit vest with a V-neck. And then it has this button band going down in the front. This is not a real button band. The vest is knit in the round and then the button band is just added after and all the buttons are sewn on. I was inspired to make this vest by my late father-in-law who would always wear these knitted vests. And he would never open them. And I don't think that I would ever open it. So I decided, why not make life easier on myself and just be able to knit it in the round and add the button bands and the buttons after the fact. It worked out nicely and I am really enjoying my vest. It is knit in a DK weight, which means that this is a quick project. This is not something that will take you forever. It's on size 6 needles, I think. 5 or 6. And as I said, in a DK weight. So, yeah, it just flies by. I knitted in a yarn from a Danish hand dyer called By Kilerek. I often work with Henriette from By Kilerek. This is the colorway that she made for me. It's called Fiftyfabulous and I love it. I actually did helical knit this one. I mean, down here I helical knit, up here I just alternated the skeins. And I'm happy I did because this is a variegated yarn and I would be afraid that there would be pooling if I hadn't done that. But as it is now, I think the colors are beautifully distributed over the vest. I don't even think there's a difference because that was one of the things that was worrying me was if I first just knitted in the round and then started knitting flat, that the colors would distribute differently. But with the alternating of the skeins, this is just fine. So yeah, I am of course gonna link the pattern and the vest, the pattern and the yarn in the description box below this video, where I will link everything that I talk about in this episode. But yeah, I finished 2 cardigans. Whoa! One of them I have been working on for quite a while and it was really nice to get it off the needles and on my person. I still haven't added buttons because I'm not sure what to do with them. But this is my perfect little cardigan. The cardigan where I said I want to make a cardigan with a perfect fit. One that doesn't slide off the shoulder and doesn't droop in front, and I actually think I achieved it with this one. Actually, I should probably put it on, even though I am wearing a vest, but I'm sure I can get away with putting it on over the vest. Here it it is in all its glory. My perfect little cardigan, which, as you can see, this is not going to fall anywhere. And it just fits perfectly. I am so happy with this cardigan. I did do a raglan, but I modified it so that in the beginning there are only increases for the body, so it almost looks like a saddle shoulder, and then you have increases for the body and the sleeves, and on some sizes there's going to be increasing only for the sleeves. Yeah, I am still working on the pattern. It's not the easiest pattern to grade in the different sizes because there are so many little things in it, but it's actually pretty easy to knit. It's just difficult to describe what to do when you're knitting. But yeah, it has beautiful details. The little rib panel going down all the way from the neckline and down to the ribbing on the arms. Come on, you can do this. There you go. This is just a mock cable, super easy to work, and yeah, all I need to do now is figure out what to do with buttons, because I didn't knit buttonholes. I rarely do that. I actually prefer to do afterthought buttonholes where I'll just poke my finger or the button through and then just sew the edge around it. But actually I am contemplating for this one to use snap buttons. I want something very light because this is a light fabric and I don't want the buttons weighing the whole thing down. So I am on the lookout for beautiful snap buttons, and yeah, one day I will find the perfect ones. Until then, I can easily wear it unbuttoned. The yarn is an undyed yak and silk blend from another Danish hand dyer. That is a Knitter's World, Bettina. And I must say, yak and silk, that's a luxurious blend. It is so soft. It is so drapey. It is warm, but not like excessively so. It's really, really nice. I think maybe my new favorite blend, because it has all the best qualities from both the yak and the silk. The sheen and the strength of the yarn and the drape from the silk, and then all the softness and the warmth from the yak. So a beautiful yarn that I am so happy that I have had the chance to work with. So yeah, next thing to do with this one is me working and working and working on the pattern and then sending it off so that it can go through some gentle hands before being released out into the world. I think it will be, because I know some of you are like, we're ready to start the test. I think it will be another 1 to 2 weeks before we can start the testing. But everyone is seriously doing their best to make it happen as soon as possible. But yeah, my perfect little cardigan. Now I just need a name for it. But that's, I mean, that's always the case. Naming designs is one of the most difficult parts of the process, but I'm sure I'm gonna come up with a nice name at some point. It often happens like when I'm doing something completely different and then it's just, oh, that's the name for the cardigan, the sweater, whatever. So yeah, so happy to be done with this one. I am sure that it's gonna get a lot of wear during the fall and winter. And spring. This can easily transform into a spring wardrobe piece as well. I also finished my other cardigan, the doodle sweater that I was changing into a cardigan. it is right here. Cardigans are difficult to show off when they're not on a person. So maybe what I should do is change from my perfect little cardigan into my doodle cardigan so that you can see what happened with this one. So here we go, doodle cardigan. Just look at it, isn't it beautiful? I was a little unsure about how this yoke would fit as a cardigan because these chunky cables, they really pull the fabric together to give a nice fit over the shoulders. And I was afraid that maybe they would like pull the cardigan away, but it folds nicely. I didn't block this one. With chunky knits, I often just give them a light steam blocking just to keep the poof in the yarn. Also, they don't really get dirty, do they? Because, yeah. So, yeah, it fits just like I want it to fit. I am so happy with it. I did film while I was sticking it because what I did cast on some extra stitches because I knew I was gonna stick it. So I cast on a few extra stitches and I put stitch markers around them so that I didn't accidentally count them into the pattern. So I just knew when I came to that specific stitch marker, the next stitches were just gonna be knit no matter what the pattern said. So after I finished the sweater, I had this band of knit stitches going down the front. I also decided that I wouldn't pick up stitches for the button band. I would knit the button band separately and just sew them on so that I would get this vertical line instead of the horizontal lines here. So I knit the button band and I sewed on, and I was knitting and sewing at the same time to make sure that I got the perfect length, because I wanted to make sure that the button band was just slightly shorter than the front of the sweater so that it would help pull up the front panels here. Then when I came to the neckline, I had the stitches for the button band on my needle, and then I just picked up stitches all the way around so that I got an uncompromised button band in neckline up here. And I just did a folded over neckline. That's in the pattern as well. I think the folded over neckline, I don't even remember. For sure, it looks lovely with this chunky cardi to have a chunky neckline as well. Of course, sticking a cardigan is much easier when it's a sweater like this that you're sticking. There's no color work, which means that I have no floats to worry about. If you have color work, of course, you have to also catch all your floats when you're reinforcing your stick. And also, this is a woolly wool. It's a wool that really wants to help me. The stitches want to stay in place. If I had been working in a sleeker yarn, like a superwash or a silky blend, something like that, I would have had to be much more careful. But this was so easy. It is knit out of yarn from Hobbii. A while back, they reached out to me to hear if I wanted to test some of their yarns and give a review on the podcast. And I have talked about some of their yarns in relation to my Christmas collection where I used those. But this doodle cardigan is also knit in a Hobbii yarn. This is the yarn that is called Snowstorm. And it is a heavy woolly wool. Not heavy, a thick. Like you can see the thread. It's a thick yarn, but it's actually not heavy, which is what made me want to try to knit this. Because originally this was knit in a blow yarn. to avoid a sweater that would weigh 2 kilos. If I had chosen like a tightly spun yarn, this would have been a heavy garment. But this is so loosely spun. It is so airy and light. I did use almost 14 balls. This is what I have left of ball number 14. So it is, yeah, oh, what, 14 balls, 700 grams worth of cardigan, which is of course heavier than if I had used the fingering weight, but it's warm. I wanted something warm and nice and cozy, and that's exactly what I got. So I'm very happy with the yarn choice and with the steeking. So I'm just gonna add in here the little section that I filmed as I was steeking. Okay, I am now ready to steek my dual sweater turned cardigan, or about to turn cardigan. As you can see, I knit the whole thing. I also added the button bands. I didn't have to in this case because I knitted the button bands separately and just sewed them on. And then up here, I continued and picked up all the stitches for the neckline. If I would have had the button bands horizontally, it would have been necessary for me to pick up a knit before steeking, because you will like pull on the stitches when you pick up. But anyway, I did it. And now I have my steeking stitches in here. And what I'm gonna do, I don't need a lot of reinforcement because this is 100% wool, untreated wool. It's the Snowstorm from Hobbii. Lovely, lovely, light and beautiful, chunky wool yarn. So actually, it's not gonna run away from me. Nothing's gonna happen here. But just to make sure, I am gonna crochet some reinforcements, and then I'm actually also gonna needle felt the ends just a little bit. And what I want to do, I want to identify my middle stitch in the steek, which is this one running right here. I want to crochet one leg of that stitch together with one leg of the stitch next to it. I want to do that on both sides, because then I can cut right in the middle of that stitch. Because I'm using such a heavy yarn, I am not going to use the original yarn for my crochet reinforcement. I'm just going to take some much lighter yarn in a similar color, and I'm going to crochet. So let's see. Identifying the middle stitch and then crocheting into one leg of the middle stitch and one leg of the stitch next to it. I am going to, after I crochet, I'm going to, of course, weave in this end just to secure the edge here. But it's super simple. I'm just gonna crochet in through these stitches, and because the yarn is a lot thinner than the yarn that I'm using for the sweater, I am going to do 2 stitches in every sweater stitch. So 2 crochet stitches in every sweater stitch. So I have done my crochet reinforcement, and as you can see, you shouldn't really be able to make a mistake when you cut. It's pretty obvious where to cut, right? This little bar from the middle stitch between the two crochet reinforcements. I will say though that if you go back in my videos almost 1 year back, I was sticking a cardigan for little Lucas, and I managed to cut here at the side of the reinforcements, which was stupid, but I managed to save that one. Anyway, I am going to now cut, and then after I'm going to needle felt. Cutting all done. It looks horrible right now, but this will end up good, I promise. These are gonna actually fold back on their own, and I am going to help them with the needle felt. I'm ready to needle felt. I put my rubber foam mat, whatever it's called, underneath, and then I'm just gonna a little bonus tip: if you are working with a very heavy yarn, instead of weaving in the ends, you can actually just needle felt them ever so slightly into place. That was it. I am now done sticking my doodle cardigan. I can't wait to wear it. It doesn't look perfect on the inside yet, but it will after a good blocking. I usually don't block until after the sticking. So the only thing I have left to decide with this one is whether to add buttons or not. If I'm gonna add buttons, which ones? Because I have a smaller size button that I really like for it. Let's see, that's this one. These very rough, they would be beautiful. I also have some larger black buffalo buttons, and for those I would need to do afterthought buttonholes, but we shall see what happens. So what I would suggest, if you wanna stick a sweater to make a cardigan, when you start knitting, when you cast on, add some sticking stitches. I only added 3 sticking stitches for this one because it's such a heavy yarn, but typically I would probably recommend between 5 and 11 stitches, also depending on what kind of yarn you're working with. This is a rustic yarn, so it's not gonna run. It's not gonna go anywhere. If you're working with a superwash or a smoother yarn like an alpaca or a silk, I would definitely recommend more sticking stitches. I always put stitch markers around my sticking stitches so I don't accidentally count them into the pattern for increasing, decreasing, whatever might happen as you knit along. If you are working with a smoother yarn, I would recommend either like I did here, crochet and needle felt, and really have at it, because even smooth yarns can be needle felted. It just takes patience. Or you could do a reinforcement on your sewing machine, just sewing up along the sticking stitches. Or you could do the crochet and then fold them over, fold them in on themselves and attach it. One more thing that I always do when I convert a sweater pattern to a cardigan is I add some short rows on the back, because I don't like when cardigans drip in front when this falls down, like, can you see it like this? So I will always add some short rows to the back, and I will also be careful when I'm doing the button bands that they're a little shorter than the front of the sweater, so that they can help pull everything up. I'm back, no cardigan. I have more costume changes in this episode than a reality star at an awards show, huh? Anyway, finishing those 2 cardigans freed up my needles so that I could start working on the 3rd cardigan. And I didn't mention it on my last podcast. I mentioned that I had bought the pattern from Albiona McLaughlin of a nostalgic sweater coat, and I wanted to make a cardigan with the lat wool from Bikelag. And here we are. I actually worked quite a lot on this one, but I couldn't make the yarn work with the pattern. I tried a couple of times, had a few false starts, and then I decided, okay, I am gonna take a pattern that I know very well, and I am gonna use that. So I took the pattern for my family sweater, which is a classic raglan with some Estonian braids going over the yoke. That pattern is written for a DK weight. My lat wool is much heavier than that. The family sweater is written for a 20 stitch gauge, and I get around 16 with this. So I decided to actually go ahead and knit the same size that I have my family sweaters in, and then just get a super oversized chunky cardigan. And then we had the thing again, like the dual sweater. I wanted a cardigan, what I had was a sweater pattern. I decided not to stick this one. I decided to instead change the pattern, which is just as easy. What I did was just that instead of working in the round, I just worked it flat, following the pattern. I did add the same amount of stitches that I wanted my bottom band to be, because you want your bottom band to be able to lay double. So I wanted 12 stitches for my bottom band, so I added 12 stitches to the pattern. But other than that, I just followed the pattern. When I thought now the yoke is deep enough, then I stopped the raglan increases and just added some extra stitches at the underarm. But that was it. Super easy modification, and I am getting a cardigan that I am very, very happy with. It is definitely in process, and as you can see, you've seen me doing this before. I am working on the body and on the sleeve. That's because I need mindless knitting for when I'm with people, I'm talking with someone, I want to pay attention to what someone is saying. Then I'm working on the body, which is just going back and forth. And then when I want something a little more involved, I can work on the sleeve, where I added a color work section. I am also gonna do some embroidery on this, or I'm gonna duplicate stitch on the back with the glorious orange that I also used here, and it's gonna be beautiful, and I cannot explain what I intend to do, but I can't wait to show you. On the next podcast, for sure, I will be done with this one, because this is, of course, a quick knit. I'm on size 5mm needles, and it is just flying off my needles. But yeah, I am having a lot of fun knitting this one just for me. I don't have to take any notes. I don't have to think about, is this practical? Is this doable? I can just fudge it and do whatever I like and add in stripes and colors and yeah, just have so much fun. So this is definitely one that I'm looking forward to. My intention is to use it together with, I like to wear a blazer, but a blazer is not enough. When it gets colder, then I will add this one over it. That's going to look so cool and it's going to keep me warm. I'm just going to show you the yarn or what is left of it. It is Latvian wool, and it is just the colors that the sheep wore. So I have a beige gray, I have an off-white, and then I have this brownish black almost. And then I also have one that Henriette, the dyer, she actually dyed on. So this is also the lat wool. This is the thin one. She has a double lat wool and a single. This is the single stranded, and she dyed this beautiful intense orange, she calls it, and it is definitely intense. I think the color is coming through really well. So yeah, I love the lat wool. It is so rustic and so, yeah, just squishy, nice. I wouldn't knit a cow or a hat in this, but sweaters, cardigans, it's perfect for that. And this is a very, very budget-friendly yarn. So I really recommend the lat wool. That is a lovely yarn for these rustic garments, and it's perfect to do color work with. I also knit Andrea Maura's Shifty in the lat wool because she has some lat wool that is with color changes, like these long strands of different colors, and that was beautiful too. So lovely to work with. So this is my comfort knitting, yeah, I love it. It's quite the project, so this is not what I reach for when I'm going out. When I'm going out, I'm doing gift knitting, which is something that I really don't do a lot of, but in this beautiful bag that I received from Malene, she has a podcast called Strijk og Muziek. She is gonna be in our Knitathon. She was in the last Knitathon where she played some beautiful piano music for us as we were knitting away, and she's gonna do this again for the next Knitathon, but much more about that later. She gave me this project bag that she made with a little window, and I love it. It is so pretty. And just look at the inside, which of course is visible if the lights didn't get into, I think you can see it now. Inside, I have my going out knitting, which is also a gift knit as a sock. And I did cast on with the lat wool. I couldn't knit socks in lat wool. You would wear right through them, but I just used it for the cast on. And then I am using some Drops Fabel. This is the Drops sock yarn, and it is a little heavier than a regular sock yarn, which makes it just perfect for this project, because these are socks for my youngest son. He is in the process of getting his hunter's license, and of course he is into all the hunting gear, the clothes. Yeah, it's a bit flamboyant. So he showed me pictures of hunting socks which had a lot of color, and they were really long so that you could fold them over your boot. So I have quite a lot of knitting to do. This has taken me all week, only knitting on it when I've been going out. But still, there's a substantial amount of time invested in this little tiny thing. So I have some knitting to do before I'm done, but I am enjoying making them for him. And this is the perfect portable project. So yeah. And some of you are probably thinking, will she finish? Will she finish those? Has she ever finished a pair of socks? I did finish a pair of socks. Last winter I finished one pair. The winter before that I finished 2 pairs. So there, I'm gonna finish them. They're for my son. I also still have gift crochet. The little birds that I'm making for my granddaughter. I am still crocheting away just a little bit every day so that I can get to the 10 birds that she wants. I'm just, in case you didn't watch the last episode, these birds are roughly from the book The Animal Friends of Pica-Pow. I did crochet one bird from the pattern in the book for Isabel, and she loved that bird. And then she asked me if I could make 10 birds for her so that she could hang them from the ceiling in her room. And of course, when she asked me, I was still in Italy and I didn't have the book there. So I made up a pattern from memory, and that's what I'm going by now, so that they can all look the same. I don't like crocheting, but I like my granddaughter. So there. But these are the active whips that I have. I am trying to clear my needles so that I am ready to travel. In a couple of weeks, I will be back in Texas with my oldest son, and I know that I have quite a lot of yarn waiting for me there for some new designs, new projects. So I wanted to clear my needles and be able to travel without 5 or 7 project bags. Usually when I travel, I have a suitcase, the large suitcase for my knitting, and then I have my carry-on for my personal stuff. Yeah. There is one thing that I am going to bring, and that is this yarn, because this is the yarn that I will be using for our knit-a-thon. This is an alpaca merino silk blend, a single spun, so it's really fussy and it's going to fluff up beautifully when I knit with it. I am working on the design. I am swatching, and working on the design for the Knitathon. That is what I will be doing for the glorious 24 hours. Now, if you joined us for the last Knitathon in the spring, you know exactly what to expect. If you haven't done a Knitathon before, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. If you know all about the Knitathon, you can easily leave me now, because this will be the remainder of the episode. A Knitathon is a very informal event where knitters all over the world knit together for 24 hours straight. And of course, no one knits for 24 hours straight. We take little breaks, and that's perfectly okay. You do you. There are no strict rules here. The only thing we're doing with the Knitathon is offering community. So you can take part as much or as little as you would like. There's no pressure. There's no obligation. This is just for fun. This is 24 hours that you take out of your life just for you and your knitting and the community and all the fun. During the Knitathon, people will go live on YouTube. I will go live quite a few times, and there are a lot of other podcasters who are also going to go live. Some of them are going to go live in Danish, but there will be a lot of entertainment also for those who doesn't understand Danish. I just mentioned Strik og Musik, Marlene, who made this project bag. She is a pianist, and she will spend half an hour, something like that, playing for us as we just knit away. Last time it was amazing. I think we were all a little high after that concert. She will go live in English, and the Shawl Knitter Unplugged is gonna go live. She is from South Africa. She lives in South Africa, so yeah, she's gonna go on in English. And a Danish hand dyer called Christina Birk is also gonna go live in English, and she will be doing some yarn dyeing with us, so walking us through some of the steps of yarn dyeing, which she has done that before, and it is, you don't want to miss this. On my website, www.fiftyfabulous.dk, you will find all the details of the Knitathon. There's a schedule where all the times where people are going to go live are in there. Times are giving in Greenwich Mean Time +1, which is Danish, Italian, French, most of Europe. And then I'm also going to put them in Texas time, because that's where I will be for the Knitathon. I will be in Texas. I really hope you want to join us. It is a lot of fun. Take a look at the schedule, see which parts you want to participate in. Use Instagram. We use a hashtag on Instagram also. I think I'm going to put the hashtag here. I'm not going to say something because that's going to be wrong, but I'm going to put the hashtag here, and it's also on the website. So go to Instagram, search for that hashtag during these 24 hours. Use that hashtag as a way of reaching out to knitters from all over the world. Of course, a big part of doing a knitathon is deciding what to knit. And there are so many different ways to go about this. You could actually go through your old webs and decide to just take them from one end and work your way through them, getting your needles cleared. Or you could cast on for something brand new and shiny, maybe something that you have been eyeing for a while, something that you really look forward to knitting. It's completely up to you. There are no requirements. You don't have to cast on something new. You don't have to finish anything. Only thing you need to do is have a lot of fun. So yeah, I really hope that you're going to join us. Of course, there's also going to be some drawing of prizes and stuff. But more about that later when I have all my ducks in a row, because right now it's a little bit up in the air. But yeah, there's going to be prizes, there's going to be music, there's going to be fun, there's going to be friends, and there's going to be knitting. So much knitting. So what's not to like? That was it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you're going to join the Knitathon, please let me know in the comments below so that I know how many wonderful knitting friends I can look forward to seeing on October 15. Have a lovely week. Be well, be happy, and Happy knitting.